You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are
Rope Break.
And like we promised, Jean-Paul, we're here for like NXT UK episode 2. Ever since they ready to return, we had like a really good show where we had a title match. The first time in 6 months that like any championship from NXT UK was defended. And we're going to be talking about the whole show, like the highlights, what do we think about, and where we're going to go after this. So, like, tell me about it. Were you excited about this? Like, where's this going for you?
This was a good show, and the fact that it's only an hour is really good too, because they don't try to get 1,000 segments in an hour show. We had 3 matches, and they set up the Heritage Cup tournament, and it was all good stuff. And the thing I like about NXT UK is that there's no filler. Every match makes sense, and it's for a reason. We don't just see 2 guys or 2 girls wrestling just for the sake of it. Like we see on, NXT since it's gone 2 hours. It's like, oh, we see a match, and we're like, we don't care about this. But everything we see on NXT UK, we care about. We had that great opening match, which I did have a little bit of problems with. But, Walter was good. Saxton Huxley, the Bruiser Brody of the NXT UK, not the Brody Lee of, the bullshit AEW. But, he was good. I would, like they said, he is, this is like a new... Just
Saxton Huxley,
he's not new, but they said it's like a new attitude, yes.
New attitude, new gimmick, new intensity. So really good. Don't forget to watch every single thing of our content, Jean-Paul. We had a Smackdown. We just did it, the go-home show for Clash of Champions Gold Rush. The big dog, like, finally responding to Jay. Alexa Bliss kind of, like, still with the Fiend. Bayley, like, hyping the match with Nikki Cross. And also, like, the ladder match. So every single thing is in the channel, the description for every single one of you to enjoy. So, Jean-Paul, let's start, like you said, with the beginning of the show. And we got... He has the theme song. Of course, Volta. It's not Walter anymore, right? Volta. Right there.
Yep, there he is, the ring general. And I do love how Nigel said, like, oh, Walter, he's such an intimidating presence and all this stuff, how his theme was used for the inspiration for the Jaws theme. And it's like, you can clearly hear it, but I mean, it's badass to think of Walter as Jaws. It's just like this giant shark that will just devour anything in his way.
That's awesome. No, absolutely. Like, you always got like those like culture references, and I love it. It's true. I mean, like, they use like, is like the Symphony No. 9 by Debrock. I think that's what it is, and of course they probably got some inspiration from that. But like you said, he comes out, he looks amazing, and we got to see Saxton Huxley right there, like Jean-Paul was saying, the Bruiserweight or like the Bruiser Brody, like over like the NXT UK division. But to me, this match was very good. Maybe like we're gonna hear the criticism for Jean-Paul in like a little bit, but I like the whole intensity, the chops. Oh my gosh, the sound of those chops were like, okay, so loud that everybody could hear it. And I don't know what you think, but like for me, like these guys, like when they wrestle, even though it's just, like the weekly show, you can tell that they go at it legit. Like they want to go at it for real. Because like they go at it and like you hear like the intensity in every single thing that they do, they say, the chops, like every single punch, everything looks like real for me. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, they presented in a real fashion, and I'll talk about that in other segments we saw later on, but they act like, this is 1970s, like this is like real, they have the kayfabe, they, everything, they're not just like playing a part and then you can clearly tell that that's not who they are, they live who they, are in the ring. And this was good, the chops. I love, Saxton will hit a chop and then Walter will be, he's probably like, oh, so that's what you think is a chop. And even when he was chopping him on the back and everything, it's like, oh my,
exactly.
Like, you see when he would wrestle the job guys, they show the pictures and their whole entire chest is like bloodshot. And I mean, he's legit. But the only thing I have my criticism with this, because it was a great match. If this was like a pay-per-view or something, like a title defense, I'd be like, okay, this was a hell of a match. But it was just the first time we're seeing Walter from the return. And, he kind of got, looked like he was getting dominated a little bit here and there during this match. So it's like, yeah, so, I mean, Saxton is a big guy. I mean, Walter's huge, but Saxton is almost as big. So it's not like it was, unbelievable, but I would have liked to see the champ look dominant in, like, kind of his first match back.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I think that they made the match last a little bit longer because it's like you said, this is an hour, so maybe they only put like a few more. They only put like a certain amount of segments, so they were like, okay, this match is gonna be a singles match, the guys and everything. So hey, they just have him like go like what 10 minutes, I think it was. If so I will say that that was good, but like in the end, right there, Walter did like a beautiful butterfly suplex, and then he followed it by like before that he did a powerbomb on the apron. And like you said, like they use actually like the edgy part of the apron, and like that hurt really bad. And I think after that, Saxton Huxley was done. There was no comeback after that.
Oh yeah, that was pretty much done. Yeah,
and then he did like a power bomb, and then 1, 2, 3, and Volta, becomes like the winner. And like you said, I mean, it was good to see the champion. No interaction with Dragunov. Dragunov wasn't even shown on camera or anything. So I don't know what was that about. But I mean, like the champion remains,
Me, I would say I'm fine with that because we saw it last week. We saw the stare down. We don't need to see it every week because it's like, oh, then we don't care anymore. Yeah. But the one thing I always take notice with Walter is he's so legit. Is he can just do like basic moves and put guys away. He hits like a power bomb, done. He hits a big splash, done. You see like other people do those moves and it's like, oh, kick out at 2.
Yes, that's actually you always again attention to detail. So it is pretty true that like he doesn't need like a finisher per se because it's like the intensity and how impactful he is when he delivers the move. That's why like he can just put people away, which is a basic move like a powerbomb, like you said. Jericho cannot put people away with a powerbomb. Well, Volta can. So let's talk about Jean-Paul, like the Heritage Cup tournament. Like we were saying that there's going to be like every single one of the competitors were already revealed. Flash Morgan Webster. We saw also like Trent Seven. We saw A-Kid. We saw Connors. We saw like what is the other guy's name? Like the big guy, Dablet, I think it is. Dablet is one of them, and also Noam Dar. And then the guy, what is it like? The other guy.
It's Matt Mastiff. And Alexander Wolf.
And Alexander Wolf. So, and also there's going to be a guy that is a mystery guy or the wild card. But like we have a picture, Jean-Paul, of all the rules because the rules are a little different than any other one of the tournaments. There were like a lot of stipulations, I think. Did you get notice of that?
Yeah, it was like a 2 out of 3 falls.
Right here, Jean-Paul.
There you go. Yeah, here it is. There it is.
Yeah, once a fall, of course, the round ends. Winning 2 falls, you gotta win. There's always gonna be every match is gonna be 2 out of 3 falls. So whoever wins, 2 falls gets the victory. DQ, KO in the match, and then whoever leads after 6 rounds wins. So like a lot of like rules is gonna be different, right? It's not gonna be like a wrestling match, like the wrestling match.
No, and so I think the first couple rounds we might be a little bit like trying to figure out like, oh, okay, but I mean it seems self-explanatory, easy enough. Obviously they'll be like, oh, this guy advances, this guy's done. But the one thing I like is when they had all 7 guys there, they're in the back. And
oh, you want to see it?
Yeah. Oh, well, this is when they're out. But, before when they had him in the back and Noam Dar is like on his phone and Alexander Wolf slaps the phone out of his hand and then they're all like laughing at him. To me, that's like a real life thing. They're not just standing there like, oh, guys, just even though you should kind of hate each other and be laughing and whatever, just act unnatural. That was like a natural thing. Obviously, Alexander Wolf is going to be a heel. Noam Dar is like half his size. He's like, you're bullshit. Smack the phone out of his hand.
Sid Scala was like this. The assistant of the GM. He's like, guys, make sure the composure, make sure everybody looks legit, make sure everybody behaves, and then they start with that with like the phone, and then at the end, Noam Dar goes like, "Mommy" or "Mother," and then he walks away. Yeah, so that was good. I mean, like the rules were right there, and like you said, we get to see the guys, like all of them. They're out in the ring, and then we got to see the return of the bruiserweight, Pete Dunne, because like he's the longest NXT UK champion, and he's the one that was going to be helping out for the draft, right, Jean-Paul?
Yeah, and the one thing, okay, so they bring him, they're like, oh, he's going to announce the names and do this and that, but he just stood there.
Out of place.
The other guy drew the names and said, and I'm like, what is Pete Dunne there for? And then obviously we saw with his interaction with Noam Dar, which was legit. Because what was it? Who did he go to attack?
Noam Dar. Well, like he wanted to attack Alexander Wolf. That's why. Yeah. Yeah,
and then Pete Dunne caught the hands and he did the finger thing and busted his hands. I mean that was legit. And then him and Trent Seven did the too sweet and they're like ooh. But I mean that was badass. But it's like that was the only reason I feel they brought him on. Which at this point we saw this, and they're like, oh, they kind of had to stare down a little bit, and like,
and then let's talk about a little bit of this, Jean Paul. This is going to be like the first matches. It's going to be like, or the matchups. It's going to be Joseph Connors against Dave Mastiff. Right there, we can see it. Then also we're going to see Trent Seven, like you said, with the mystery partner, and that is going to be good. Like I really think that Trent Seven, like you said, is legit. He's had a lot of more opportunities than everybody else because he's been on regular NXT. He's been on Takeover. He was in like Worlds Collide and all of that. So like we get to see a little bit of that also, like you said, like he's just announcing that. And also we're gonna see like this match is actually breaking my heart, Jean Paul, because this is gonna be my two picks from like this tournament. And it was gonna be like Flash Morgan Webster and A-Kid. So like this I'm like, really? I'm like, why is it done? But
yeah, I mean, all these matchups are really exciting. That one is a toss up. I'm going to say A-Kid. I mean, some of them it's like a Mastiff and Connors. It's like, okay, I'm going to go with Mastiff on that one. But I mean, I'm excited for this tournament. And like the whole thing with Pete Dunne, I could see if he does return, a feud with Noam Dar would be legit. But I mean, I think this is going to be good, and I'm really excited who the mystery guy is going to be.
Oh yeah,
I'm feeling like Pete Dunne. They could, or not Pete Dunne. I'm sorry, Tyler Bate. They could do Pete Dunne, but I think that would be kind of like really, it's like he's right there. It's not really a surprise. I hope it's somebody new. I mean, even if they bring somebody in from like the main roster or like the normal NXT, they just bring somebody like that. That would be cool. But we'll see what they do.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I feel that like it will make a lot of sense if like they bring somebody different. So like you said, but next week we're gonna actually see like there's gonna be matches. Like it's gonna be a triple threat match for the wild card match. So like you said, there might be guys from the regular NXT that are gonna be added to it. Like you said, maybe Tyler Bate, maybe like maybe it will be cool to see like a guy like a British guy or maybe like a Cesaro. One that like we don't even think about. Or, like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Jordan Devlin because like I think that like they're done with him because of pick up movement. But like you said, we'll see what happens on that. But it was a pretty cool segment, like you mentioned. I really like when he did like the fingers thing, like Pete Dunne, and then they took out like Noam Dar. But like that is gonna be, we're gonna announce another match on that. But before that, we gotta go with like tag team action, Jean Paul. This was good, and we got to see new tag teams. We got to see finally the Primates, right, Jean Paul? Right there, the Primates, right there, and also going to like.
But I think the tag team is the Hunt.
The Hunt, yeah. The Hunt is the name, but like they go by like this Primate thing.
Well, it's Primate. It's Primate is the bald guy, and then the other guy is Wild Boar.
And Wild, yes, and then we're gonna go see what like Pretty Deadly. These guys like the music was really, I was like really. This is like the NXT UK version of Breezango. Like kind of like poppy-ish, and even like.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
He's like, they're the prettiest guys in the NXT roster, and like they're like, they like Orlando Bloom because Orlando Bloom is a British actor. So what do you think about this match, though? I really think that it was pretty decent, and it actually let me see these guys for the first time.
Oh yeah, this is good to establish, the people. It's like, okay, you see Pretty Deadly and you see the Hunt, and you're like, okay, who's babyface, who's heel. Clearly, Pretty Deadly. Watching this, they're the heels.
Yeah.
They cheat, they distract the ref. They even got the win with cheating. So it's like, okay, they're bullshit. But the Hunt is good. When Primate, when he came in and was doing like his monkey offense, like running like a gorilla, that's how I was like, like really.
Yeah.
I was like, it's fine to have the name, but can you just like, wrestle like an actual person? Yeah, but like, Wild Boar, I mean, they're a legit team, and it's cool.
Wild Boar is which one? The bold one or the?
He's like the hairy one.
Okay, yeah, because like the whole story of the match though was like also like Primate trying to get the hot tag.
Yeah.
Wild Boar was like receiving all the action from like pretty. What is the name of it?
Pretty Deadly.
Pretty Deadly, yeah. These guys, we deal with so many names, but like they were dominating, and they were not allowing Primate to come in. Once he got the hot tag, and he started dominating, and it seems like they were gonna win. They had like that big move, and then of course like the Pretty Deadly that they had to like cheat to win, and they got the win over it because with a roll up. And I mean, like you said, like we were gonna see Imperium probably because they were shown in the screen when we said that. There's more tag teams. We don't know what's gonna happen with the Greatest Young Veterans, but I'm gonna keep talking about them. And also, like you said, it's Gala's, like, of course, the champions. But I'm really looking forward for this division. I'm not going to go ahead and this, like, in the level of, let's say, like an Impact. Or in the level, like, I know AEW, but misuse. We use the right words here, Jean Paul. AEW, but misuse. But, like, I want to keep seeing these teams. Pretty Deadly to me. They look okay. I wish that they will have, like, a regular finisher, though. Because they use, like, their tag team heelish ways to win. What do you think?
Oh yeah, and it would have been good to it's good to hear these guys cut promos.
Yes.
I think that's what really gets them over, gets them personality. Like they had this win, but if they would have cut a promo after the match, or if the Hunt would have cut a promo and been like, "Oh, this is bullshit," blah blah blah. But it's just like, okay, they have the good match, and then we just move on. So it's like, I don't care how good you are of a wrestler. If you're not gonna cut a promo, you're not gonna get over.
Yes, and like you said, pretty deadly. Like they get the win, but like they did have I don't know if you picked up on this, but like after every match, they have like during the break, and then you saw like Huxley going like, ugh, and he was like, oh, and then another and it's like next time.
Yeah, the guy, this like little midget's like, better luck next time, and he's like, next time, dude, fuck you.
Yeah, and then it's like he wants away, and then they did kind of something like that with the Hunt, because then Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. They were right there, and he's like, guys, you'll be legit. It's gonna click at some point. It seems like it's gonna go the right way. Fuck you, and then boom, they kept going. So that was cool. And also, like you said, Pete Dunne was like kind of like, so, because like Sikala is like, well, the tournament is about to start, so I don't know, like, no, I'm dying like Alexander Wolf, but like they're gonna like pretty much destroy the whole NXT. They're gonna be unleashed. I don't want to like all ref, in like the Pete Dunne's fashion, all ref. So they made it official, Jean Paul. Next week for NXT UK is going to be Alexander Wolf against Noam Dar, and then Pete Dunne is going to be the referee. I don't really know why they're doing this. Maybe, they need what, Jean Paul? Star power? Name people with names?
I could see that. And like I said, I'm seeing the Pete Dunne, Noam Dar storyline. Pete Dunne's over there. Obviously, you have him on the show, but is he just going to be, a loser and not wrestle? No, you're going to have him wrestle. So, Noam Dar, boom, that's the feud. You saw the hell of a match he put on with Dragunov. Let Alexander Wolf be legit for once in his career. Let him get this win. Let him move on in the tournament. And then, Pete Dunne and Noam Dar can, they can feud. Because as legit as Noam Dar is, I don't see him winning this tournament. So, let him just lose. Then he can be in a legit program with Pete Dunne. He can get over in that. Pete Dunne will probably win that. But, I mean, at least they'll present him legit.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I don't know, like you said, maybe use him like to put guys over, or like kind of give like more star power, because Walter, besides him and maybe Dragunov, who else is like star power in NXT UK? Nobody, because at least Pete Dunne, we like to start with Matt Riddle, like the American.
Yeah, because Coffee was getting legit, and then he had to be bullshit in his personal life. So Dunne,
he was being legit somewhere else, and now he's no longer with us. In the NXT brand. So now let's talk about Jean Paul really quick about the main event. Women's championship match. LeRae defending defending against Piper Niven. And what do you think about this match? I think it was pretty cool, but I'm really disappointed because I thought it was Piper Niven's time.
Yeah, I mean, this was good. I liked the intensity of the match. Obviously, the story. These women know how to wrestle each other. It wasn't no Alexa Bliss, Lacey Evans. This was legit. And they set up that spot. And this is what kind of took me out of it, is when they did the injury. The spot where she was like, her knee was all done. And then they were on the outside, and she hit her knee on the, the ring steps. And it's like, it's done. And then they're all looking. They're like, oh, and then. That I did like. I know you didn't care for it too much, but I like how Piper was pissed because she's like, really, like my title opportunity is going to end because you're. Because she's like, you hit your knee, so I'm going to lose my opportunity. See, because I agree with Piper. It's like, no, I'm going to throw you back in the ring. I'm going to pin you. Screw canceling the match because that's bullshit. Like, oh, it's because you hit your knee on the ring steps. The ref's going to be like, oh, it's done. And I was like, oh, this is LeRae. I wish she was selling it like, oh, my knee, and then Piper could be like, so I'm sorry, and then she could be like, duh, and like turn on her. Right there. But like we didn't get that really until
look at like Piper's reaction right there.
Yeah, like, and then they I'm fine that they did the injury thing, but it should have went a lot quicker because then they took how long till they got her to the top of the ramp and they did the whole thing, and then Piper was eventually like, screw this, took her, threw her back in the ring. And then the match continued.
Right there.
Yeah, and then but it went too long. They should have never, did all this to go to the top of the ramp and whatever. She could have easily just, thrown her back in the ring, right when they were down at ringside, and then the match could have continued. But I mean, it was good. And then we saw the spot with the exposed turnbuckle, and you knew that was going to come into play later on. And, because obviously, no offense to Piper Niven, but, she's probably not the easiest to hit the gory bomb on. So it's like, okay, how are we going to get another finish? How are we going to do this? And then, the exposed turnbuckle, cannonball into that. She was like, it's done. Sold the back.
Like we're talking about this, like I was watching, because we got so hyped up with like NXT UK. I was watching like the triple threat, in February. And I can tell you though, like I think that she did do the glory bomb on Piper Niven in that pay per view. I mean, and like I think she of course has to like jump when he's lifting and trying to do the move. But I mean, like you said, they were looking for a different finish, and when she hit the Michinoku driver, and it was about to be done. But like you always said, like they know where the rope is, that right there. But I think that like the whole angle with the injury, like you said, it took too long. I don't like that. I just don't really like that because it makes Piper Niven look even worse. Why? Because it's like you cannot even beat like somebody that is injured.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it doesn't even like give you like a really good story. And also like Jean Paul, she's injured, but then she get like what? She did like 3 super kicks.
Well, she did the super kick, and then she goes up top, and then she does the. What did she just do? Like a senton. Yeah, a senton, and I mean she didn't even. That it was like is it jumping off the top rope in NXT cursed?
Yeah,
because she barely hit that. It's like Io Shirai. She barely hit that, and then the match continued. We went through the ending, but it was good. It wasn't a pay per view. I still think you mentioned that triple threat. I still think that triple threat match was better. But Kaylee Ray, they have a lot of stock in her, and to me, she's legit. As good and a feel good story it would be to see Piper Niven be champ. If you're gonna do it on a pay per view. Just let Kaylee Ray get this win here. And I don't see them really changing titles on anybody soon because it's they're just kind of like restarting, coming back, whatever, and they want to establish all their champions.
Yes, I mean, I would much rather see Piper Niven because I love Piper Niven, and I think that like start with like a baby face, but like they had to do this. Like I said, the match quality, yeah, good between when there was action. Like I said, the angle wasn't too much for me because again, you're like the knee is completely done, right? But yet you can hit a super kick. The knee is completely done, but yet you can like walk around there. It's kind of like Rusev, he kind of tweaked like the ankle, but at least Rusev just tweaked it. Like Kaylee Ray is like, oh, I'm done. I can even walk, and all of a sudden you can deliver a super kick. But and then she wins. Piper Niven, and pretty much because of the Stormbuckle, like then she did like a roll up, and then that's what it was. Oh, no, she hit like she went for a cannonball, right, Jean Paul? Hits that, and then just Kaylee Ray just pretty much pinned her, and that was it. But if you see in the picture, if you see closely, Jean Paul, right there in the back is Jenny. And Jenny was watching the whole thing. So that's the main story right now. And Jenny, according to like what we saw last from her, she's actually a heel. So I guess they're going to turn her into a babyface, Jean Paul. And that's why we saw this and the ending of the show for NXT UK for this week. But like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I do like the set that they have. I think to me, NXT UK looks even better than the regular NXT. Because look how they have the title like on all the way in the background, and they have both of the challenger and champion right there to the sides. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. For these title matches, and I didn't even take notice if they did it for the tag team match, but I do like that when you see the competitors on each side. It's legit. It gives it.
Don't you love it? Like, see,
yeah, it gives it like a big fight feel.
Yes, that that's like looks really cool. So like, but what are your thoughts? Just really quick, like Jenny maybe, or like for me, I think that they're trying to get like Valkyrie. She should be, and I did mention to you last week. She's the one that is going to take the title from Kaylee Ray.
Oh, I could easily see that. It all depends how they build these people up, and what their storyline plans are and how the division's going to go. But one thing I'd like to see is maybe turn Piper heel. I think that could be cool. I don't know how many baby faces, how many heels they really have in the women's division, but Piper could be like, I'm not saying join with Kaylee Ray and be heel, but she could be like, so many missed opportunities. This is bullshit. What happens when people be face for so long and they don't win? They turn heel. So we'll see what they do with her. Just because I feel like a heel turn would also keep her fresh instead of just being like, oh yeah, there's Piper Niven, the baby face who never wins when it matters. So.
Exactly. So, Jean Paul, that's what we have for this show. Thank you so very much, family, for being with every single one of us. Don't forget to check every single thing of the content. Jean Paul and I have a big announcement to make. It's going to be absolutely breakthrough. It's going to be probably like Road Break will never be the same again after this announcement. So, Jean Paul and I are going to be like in suits for what is going to be Clash of Champions 2020 Gold Rush. So, we're going to reveal everything over there. So like the appointment is right there for all of you to check that out. So Jean-Paul, remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world.
Well, you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the original Rope Break on Instagram, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, and of course, the original Rope Break right here on YouTube.
For the meats and potatoes, and Jean-Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...